Warren Beatty had a list of women he went out with who did not take care of themselves. Warren Beatty dated a lot of actresses in Hollywood from 1960 to 1990. He never talked about this list because he is a private person. His driver, Michael Reynolds, said that Warren Beatty would talk about the women he dated when they were in the car. Warren Beatty would wait until the car door was closed. They were driving away. Then he would tell Michael Reynolds what he really thought about the women he dated and how they took care of themselves. Warren Beatty was very honest about what he did not like. Warren had the sensitive nose in Hollywood, Reynolds said. He was the driver for Beatty from 1965 to 1992. Reynolds claimed that Beatty could tell if someone had not showered from all the way across a room. Beatty was different from his friend Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson would talk openly about the women he dated. Beatty would talk about the women he dated in a very calm way. He did not get upset, raise his voice. He just talked about it like he was talking about a movie he was making. Warren Beatty discussed his disappointments with a face. He sounded the same as he did when he was on a movie set. Warren Beatty was like that all the time. When they went on dates, he would get into the seat of a car and right away open the window. He did this no matter what the weather was like. Reynolds told me this when I talked to him at his home in Sherman Oaks. His home is pretty simple. This guy was really into taking care of himself. He had to look perfect all the time. Reynolds said that Beatty would take a shower times a day. He would even throw away his shirts after wearing them once. Beatty wanted to be clean all the time. He wanted the people he was with to be clean too. Reynolds said that Beatty thought women should always look and smell perfect. He wanted women to be like machines that always worked perfectly, Reynolds said. He shook his head. He did not want to smell anything on them. No bad breath in the morning. No sign that they were actually human. It was just not possible for anyone to be like that. Number 1, Madonna. The smell was really strong. It was like incense and sweat and people wanting to achieve something. It was too much to handle. When they were making the movie Dick Tracy in the 1990s, Beatty and Madonna started dating, but it did not last long and they had a lot of fights. Reynolds saw the thing because he was driving them around. Reynolds said, "I drove them to their car after the movie premiered at Grauman's Chinese Theater." He still thinks it is funny when he remembers what happened. Beatty and Madonna walked on the carpet together, and they went to the party after the movie for about an hour. Then Beatty came out by himself all of a sudden. Beatty really seemed upset, like someone had crossed a line that they should not have. This thing with Madonna ended a few days later. She got added to his list of people who did not meet his standards for being clean. The reason she was on this list was not really about being clean or dirty. It was more about Beatty needing to be in charge of everything that was happening around him, the small things that people can see or hear or smell. Number 2, Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda did not like to use deodorant. You could tell. This was back in 1971 when Jane Fonda was really famous and also very involved in politics. She met Beatty around that time. When Jane Fonda and Beatty were together, Jane Fonda was going through a radical phase. This caused some problems that Reynolds saw happen. Reynolds said, "I drove them to a benefit for Vietnam veterans in the valley." Reynolds also said, "It was July and it was hot, about 95 degrees. Beatty was already in the car. He looked annoyed. Soon as they drove away, he turned to Reynolds and said, "Jane Fonda would not use deodorant before a fundraiser on a hot day like this. She told me about the things in deodorant like aluminum and chemicals from big companies." Reynolds said that Beatty really did not understand why Jane Fonda did not want to use Hygiene products. "Warren told me that Jane Fonda has something against deodorant, and you could tell," he said to me, about Jane Fonda and her problem with deodorant. Beatty kept saying that he did not understand how someone could spend a lot of time making her hair look perfect for a protest, but would not use what he thought were hygiene products like soap and toothpaste. The relationship between Beatty and Fonda got worse over the few weeks because Beatty became more and more focused on what he saw as contradictions in Fonda's personal care habits, like the fact that Fonda spent hours on her hair for a protest, but did not use basic hygiene products. Reynolds saw the big fight between them after something happened with politics. They walked out in the middle of arguing. "I did not hear the thing," Reynolds said, "but Warren was talking about natural alternatives, and she got really upset about it, saying something that sounded like she thought Americans are crazy about being clean." Reynolds and the others drove back to Beverly Hills without saying a word to each other. That night Reynolds took Beatty to a dinner meeting by himself. That was pretty much the end of their relationship. Reynolds drove Beatty to this meeting, and after that the relationship between Beatty and Warren was over. Number 3. Joan Collins. Warren Beatty thought she wore much perfume. He said it was like chemical warfare. It was so strong that it made him feel like he was suffocating. Warren Beatty knew Joan Collins a time ago in the late 1950s. This was before Michael Reynolds started working for him. Michael Reynolds saw how Joan Collins affected Warren Beatty even after many years. Michael Reynolds remembered one time when he drove Warren Beatty to a dinner in the industry. This was in 1977. Joan Collins was going to be at the dinner. So the time they were driving, Beatty told him what to do. She said he had to keep the car windows open if she came near the car on. Beatty wanted him to remember this, so she gave him detailed instructions about the car windows. The car windows had to be open if Beatty came anywhere near the vehicle. So Reynolds said that Beatty had a lot to say about Collins and her perfume. He thought she used way much fragrance. He said it was so strong that it was like she was suffocating him. Beatty even said that her scent got into the seats of his car a time ago back in the 1950s, and he had to have it professionally cleaned. Beatty was complaining about people not being clean. Collins was the opposite. She used so much perfume that it was annoying. Beatty did not like it when people smelled like much perfume, and Collins was a big example of that. He thought her approach to scent was not natural. It was just too much. Reynolds said that Beatty had an idea about how a woman should smell. He thought a woman should not smell like a person or like perfume. Beatty wanted a woman to smell like nothing all. He did not like it when a woman smelled much like perfume. Joan Collins was an example of a woman who smelled much like perfume to Beatty. Reynolds saw how much Beatty disliked perfume when they met at a party. They kissed the air next to each other at the bar. Reynolds recalled that the greeting was very quick and only lasted seconds. When Beatty got back to the car, hours later, the perfume was the thing he talked about. He said he could still taste the perfume of Collins, and it had given him a headache. He even had to take 2 aspirin. Collins was a person. She just wore much perfume for Beatty's taste. He did not like the smell of artificial fragrance that Collins had on. The perfume of Collins was too much for Beatty. Number 4. Julie Christie, the woman Warren Beatty loved. She was the love of his life. Julie Christie was not always at her best in the mornings. Warren Beatty and Julie Christie were together from 1967 to 1974. This was the time Warren Beatty was with someone before he got married. Reynolds saw that with Julie Christie, Warren Beatty still had very high standards when it came to physical appearance. The thing with Julie Christie was different. Reynolds said that Warren Beatty really loved Julie Christie. When Warren Beatty complained about Julie Christie, it was not like he did not care. He was actually confused and a little hurt. It was like Warren Beatty could not understand why Julie Christie did the things she did, because he loved her much. Warren Beatty and Julie Christie had a bond, but it was not perfect. The problem started after Reynolds went to pick up Beatty from the airport. Beatty was really tired from his trip because he had just gotten back from Christie's house in England. When he got in the car, he looked really confused. After they drove for a bit, Beatty said to Reynolds, "Rhines, I love her a lot, but she is not always nice to be in the mornings." Beatty seemed upset because Reynolds' girlfriend would drink coffee and read the newspaper before she even took a shower or brushed her teeth. Reynolds saw that Beatty was really bothered by this. It was clear that he did not like it when she did not get ready right away. The thing that was bothering Beatty was that she would do all these things before she got dressed, and it was weird to him. Beatty was talking about Reynolds' girlfriend, how she would have coffee and read the paper before she did anything else in the morning. Number 5. Brigitte Bardot. Brigitte Bardot and Beatty thought she had an European way of thinking. He said Brigitte Bardot believed that soap was something that men used to control women. When Beatty met Brigitte Bardot at the Cannes Film Festival in 1965, it really affected him. Reynolds said that meeting Brigitte Bardot was so intense that it messed with Beatty's senses. Reynolds picked Beatty up from the airport. Said Beatty looked really upset when he got in the car, which was not like him at all. Reynolds said that Beatty was usually a person, but after meeting Brigitte Bardot, he was shaken. Before they even got out of the airport, Beatty started talking a lot about how people in France take care of themselves. Reynolds said Beatty was really surprised by what he saw because it was so different from what he was used to in America. Beatty told Reynolds that he thought the way people in France felt about being clean was really interesting. He said that Brigitte Bardot did not think it was necessary to use soap all the time. Reynolds said that Beatty did not mean that Brigitte Bardot actually said that soap was bad, but that Beatty was trying to understand why French people like Brigitte Bardot were okay with not smelling like soap all the time. French people like Brigitte Bardot are comfortable with the way their bodies naturally smell. Something strange happened when I think about the time Brigitte Bardot and Warren Beatty were together. They were at a dinner in Cannes. This is where the big difference between Brigitte Bardot's way of taking care of herself and Warren Beatty's ideas about it really showed. Warren Beatty liked women who smelled the way he thought women should smell, not the way real women actually smell. When Reynolds last talked to him, she noticed that the women Warren Beatty did not like were not dirty, they were just independent. These women did not want to change their bodies to please Warren Beatty. The funny thing is that Warren Beatty kept looking for love for a long time until he met someone who had high standards just like Warren Beatty did. Warren Beatty was a man who always did what he wanted. Then he met Annette Bening. She was different from the women he had been with. Annette Bening made Warren Beatty think about what other people might think of him. He started to worry about what others would think of the way he looked. One time, Reynolds took them for a drive. Warren Beatty asked if the car smelled okay. This was a surprise for Reynolds. Warren Beatty was actually thinking about what someone else might think. Reynolds had never seen Warren Beatty like this before. Warren Beatty was really concerned about what Annette Bening thought of him.